Hola, clase. Well, we're going to finish up our grammar points for this lesson. And the first one is the se impersonal. And you remember si se puede, se habla español aquí, como se escribe. The other one is como se dice. Do you remember that? Como se dice. Isn't this kind of funny? It says, como se dice taco en español. That's supposed to be a joke. But try not to get the se impersonal confused with the other says that we have learned. Like, el señor merezca se despierta temprano. That's the reflexive say. So we already learned that. That's the reflexive say. And then we have, ¿le das dinero a tu novio? No, no se lo doy. That say is the indirect object say. Do you remember these? We went through these. That's the indirect object say. And then finally, the say with the accent, sé que el señor merezca es feo. That's say that means I know. But our next say is coming up. So now, the say can also be used to form constructions in which the person performing the action is not expressed or de-emphasized. In other words, you're not going to say yo, you're not going to say tú, you're not going to say nosotros. You're going to do this using the third person. That's the only form of the verb, third person singular, third person plural, in which the se impersonal can be used. Because once again, the person is not expressed, the person performing the action is not expressed or de-emphasized. Now look at the following statements in which the person performing the action is not defined. In other words, the action that is done is not going to have a person involved. And just like we learned with si se puede, como se dice, como se escribe, the person involved is de-emphasized, is not defined. So we have se habla español en Costa Rica. Notice how it's translated. Spanish is spoken in Costa Rica. We're not defining the people who speak Spanish. We're just saying that it is spoken. Here we have se hacen operaciones aquí. The translation can be they perform, but the they here is de-emphasized. We don't know exactly who the they is. And here are two more examples. Se puede leer, which means you can read. We de-emphasize the you. It's translated you, but it's de-emphasized. We don't know exactly if it's tú or usted. It's been de-emphasized. And then here, se necesitan, we don't know exactly who the they is because it's de-emphasized. Se necesitan medicinas enseguida. Medicines are needed or they need medicines right now. So you can often see the se impersonal in advertisements and signs. Like these right here, se prohíbe nadar. Se necesitan programadores. Se entra por la izquierda. So it's used very commonly like this too. Besides speaking, si se puede, como se dice, como se escribe. You can see it in advertisements too. So here's what you need to remember how to form the se impersonal. You're going to use the third person singular if the noun used with the verb is singular. Se vende ropa. However, if the noun used with the verb is plural, that verb has to be plural too. So, se vende ropa, clothing is sold. For example, aquí en esta tienda se vende ropa. Se venden camisas. Shirts are sold. Aquí en esta tienda se venden camisas. So you need to look what noun is working on the verb to determine if the verb is singular or plural. So here's our first group of sentences. Using the se impersonal, you're also going to use the present tense. So here are the infinitives right here. You need to look at the noun that acts on the verb. Because lenguas is plural, the verb enseñar, using the se, will have to be plural too. Here in number 2, we don't have a noun working on the verb, so keep the verb singular. So go through these 4. So this next group of 8 sentences, don't get confused. La voz pasiva, which means passive voice, is another way of saying la se impersonal. So what I'd like you to do is change all of these sentences to the se impersonal. For example, en Mexico comemos tacos. That is considered active voice. You're changing it to the se impersonal. So you're going to come back and say se comen tacos en Mexico. Okay, that easy. And here are sentences 5 through 8 for you. And now the next structure point is to understand and identify adverbs. So here's a short definition of an adverb right here. Plus, you need to remember that they modify verbs, adjectives, and other adverbs, not nouns. Adjectives modify nouns. And these words right here, which you already know, those are adverbs. All of 9 of these are adverbs. You already know these. And the big point of this video, this portion of the video, is to show you how to change adjectives into adverbs using this right here, which is mente. And that is equivalent to the ly in English. So any word in English that ends in an ly is considered an adverb. So we have verdaderamente, generalmente, simplemente. There is a rule for changing adjectives to adverbs using mente, and that's what you're going to learn next. So how do you form adverbs from adjectives in Spanish using mente? That is the ly. Well, you go to the feminine form of that adjective, and then you add the mente. The other thing you need to remember is any adjective that ends in a consonant or the vowel E, you just simply add the mente. And so here are some examples coming up. So we have the adjective seguro. Because seguro ends in an O, you have to change it to segura and then add the mente, seguramente, safely, surely. Fabuloso, another adjective that ends in an O, you change it to the feminine form, fabulosa. Then add the mente, and you get fabulosamente. But now we have 2 adjectives that either end in a vowel E or a consonant. No need to change it to the feminine form. You just simply add the mente. Enormemente, fácilmente. So here's another rule you need to remember. Adverbs that end in mente follow the verb. Generally follow the verb. Adverbs that modify an adjective or another verb precede the word they modify. For example, Javier dibuja maravillosamente. It follows the verb. Immediately follows the verb. Inés está casi siempre ocupada. So we have casi siempre. They're the adverbs. They will be before the word they modify, which is ocupada. So here's a list of common adverbs, adverbial expressions. Please get to know these. A menudo you already know from our time expressions. A veces also. So a lot of these you already know. Con frecuencia, de vez en cuando, muchas veces. You already know a lot of these expressions or adverbs, common adverbs. So this last activity, I would like you to change these adjectives to adverbs using mente. But please remember the rule. The rule is that if the adjective ends in an O, you change it to the feminine form and then you add the mente. If it ends in a vowel E or a consonant, just simply add the mente. This is the first 6. There are 6 more on the next page, which is in the video. It's coming up. And here are the next 6 right here for you. Ok, clase, muchas gracias. Nos vemos en clase.